fam, this is Matilda. We're here with Arna and Ness, No Frills Twins. We're so excited to have a chat because they've just released their debut album, Aquarius.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you both for coming out here to Vanessa's place. We're also excited to chat about Aquarius. We released it last weekend and we haven't really spoken about it yet.
Oh, we're so excited to
Honestly,
be
it's a
here.
bit of us to talk about it.
First off, I'd love to say, how does it feel to have the album out into the world? Because this is your first, big full album that you've released over, was it 11 years of releasing music?
It's been 11 years since we started our YouTube channel, and that's kind of where we say we began music. Before that, we were doing it unofficially, but 11 years. And it's been a long time that we've been dreaming and thinking of doing an album. But I guess we, number one, didn't really have the means to do it. And number two, really struggled with believing in ourselves, especially in the last maybe 5 years. For me, having the desire to want to pursue my dreams, and then on the other hand, the weight of thinking that I'm not capable, so much self-doubt that those two simultaneously existing kind of made it impossible to do anything. But yeah, Nessie last year was like, let's just do it, let's do it. And
I sent her like a silly text message being like, lol, should we do an album soon?
That's exactly
what I wrote.
The text was.
Like, even though there was seriousness in it, it was just a throwaway joke comment, and she was very receptive to it, took it seriously, and you were like, actually, why not? Like, why don't we actually just do it? Because we were in a position to do it financially and motivation wise. I think we felt like we had the songs written that we felt were good enough, and we felt like we reached a place of self-belief again that we lost for a long time. I feel like we lost our artistic vision.
The return of the passion and the motivation, as well as some more belief that we needed to put it into action. And then, so after Nessie's lol, should we make an album text, we sent a message to our dear friend Jordan, who ended up producing the whole thing, except for 1 or 2 songs.
Wow.
And
we actually took a bit of a gamble on him. We met him recently at a songwriting camp.
Ooh,
and he was the one producer there that we didn't get a chance to work with.
Wow.
And on the very last day, saying goodbye to everyone, he's like, oh, like, even though we didn't get to work together here, like, I'd love to meet up with you guys outside of this and let's experiment and make something. And I don't know, we just like felt a connection with him, and we just thought,
amazing.
like, should we go with Jordan? Even though we didn't really test us together beforehand.
And I suppose it was also a gamble for him to work with artists that he hadn't actually collaborated with before, because it can take a lot of trial and error before you get a good thing going with an artist and with a producer. And for myself personally, I was very, very anxious. I think I was the most anxious about whether it would work sonically, like whether this producer would understand the vision and be able to contribute.
Or whether we also have this weird fear and this weird like connection with demo versions of our songs. So when we write a song, usually we've written them with a producer, so the song's like recorded, produced up, and we have a tendency to get very attached to the original demo. And it can be scary to then invest remaking the song and not liking it more than the demo. So that was the fear that I had.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a demo is supposed to just be like a scratch version, like like the bones of something without the flesh, and then you take it to a producer to flesh out. But yeah, we do get very attached to the demo. I think because we've been sitting on these songs for years. That's how we have heard them for so long. So yeah, it's scary to take something and like try to polish it up and turn it into like
it's kind of like that thing where if something's changed, we naturally think it's wrong. So
Yeah.
even if like
Yeah.
the song has become better because it sounds different and things have changed, we're unsure if this is correct.
Definitely.
But-
Does anyone else out there feel that way? Where you like, you find it really hard to leave behind the demo, the way that the demo sounded?
Yeah, look, that makes a lot of sense. And also, I guess what I wanted to know with working with Jordan specifically, that was kind of be my next kind of point. So we've kind of read each other's minds here. I love that. Yeah, exactly. It's going to happen a few times. What warrants a safe space for you guys, and what warrants a kind of comfortability to work with someone? And yeah, what was that spark with Jordan? Well,
I think first and foremost, personality.
Yeah.
If like a producer can joke around with us and have good banter, having like a fun, enjoyable workspace is most important for me, at least.
And every single morning that we arrived at his home studio, he would say, I have the best job in the world. Like
Aw.
he
Yeah.
absolutely loves what he does. Like no day on earth feels like a day at work for him. That excitement and passion from
Yeah.
him helped so
Where
much.
you feel equally that they share the passion.
And also someone who is so open to any ideas, whether they're like serious or really stupid. Like no matter what I would throw at him, he'd be like, okay, let's try it. You know?
Yeah.
So
He
it
would
was
give everything a go.
a musical playground.
Oh,
like
amazing.
I can't think of a better
Amazing.
environment than the one.
I
in
think
which,
also just someone who doesn't make you feel like you have to have reservations or fear and anxiety around sharing an idea and feeling
Absolutely.
stupid or embarrassed. Someone who's just like receptive and like very respectful and validating of your idea.
Oh, amazing. Go Jordan. And look, we can tell that it's meant such a, like it's a match made in heaven really. Like you can tell all your ideas. have
Yeah,
been
I
so
think
nice.
going to that songwriting camp like was the best thing for us to meet what we feel is our producer. Yeah.
You mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I'd love to kind of delve more into this idea. You talked about how for about 5 years you lost a little bit of what you felt like was your initial oomph and kind of spark to create music. I'd love to kind of understand how, you know, you started as a duo and how your sort of process has gone along the past 11 years and where you see yourselves emerging now.
With our music, with putting our music out online, it was just a hobby that we didn't take too seriously. And then maybe a couple years in, I think some anxiety hit us where like this is real, there's a pressure, there's expectations, there's judgment. Maybe a bit of the fun went out of it. It wasn't a carefree leisure hobby anymore. It was something that, you know, people expected things of us, and that was a little bit scary.
I think taking it from doing it for fun in high school to trying to pursue it as a career, it did put a pressure on like what equals success. Like how do we know whether it's happening, whether we're moving in that direction, and then a lot of the self-doubt stuff when you take it from a hobby to trying to pursue it as a career.
And what helped you kind of eliminate that self-doubt? I know you said there was that kind of period there. Yeah, were there practices you did? Were there support systems that were in your life at the time? What kind of got you out of that kind of, oh shit, I can't do this kind of mentality?
I don't think it ever really leaves.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a thought and a fear that all creative people battle with. If anything, it's putting down your workload or your creative workload for that day if you're really not feeling good, not feeling it, and then just trying to pick it up the very next day. Not allowing yourself to go into a really dark, deep and long black hole. For me, it can be just some days of a month in which I think that I'm absolutely useless and nothing special and all of this stuff, and then other days I can see my worth and I can see what makes me unique.
It's a very fluctuating field. As she said, there's some days that I listen to my own songs or voice and despise it a lot. I don't see any value in it. And other days where like I can view myself from an outside perspective and go like, they are cool, they are unique, they do something cool and special. So it's like stepping outside of your own perception and seeing yourself how someone else might see you.
So if any techniques, I suppose, telling myself, reminding myself that I'm just having one of those days, one of those don't really like myself days, and that it will pass.
I love that. I think that's really special to be able to harness that, you know, inner power and kind of realization that, you know, unfortunately shit days are going to happen, but, you know, all in all, you're pretty good. So, you know, let it ride with it. I love that. In regards to the creation of your album, there are a lot of experimental sounds in the sense, you know, we hear some Arna beatboxing, we hear some Vanessa kazoo, there's very much a lot of unique sounds. And you did sort of discuss this briefly when you chatted about Jordan, but how did you come up with the, I guess, idea to even pursue these sounds in the first place? Because they're very original.
Yeah.
And they paid off very well.
Well, Jordan, the producer, was just as playful as we were and just as experimental. And I think towards the end of the album process, we had some extra time to kind of like take the songs a level up and play around with them a bit more.
Kind of hone in on the intricacies. And for example, in Zombies, in the pre-chorus, like originally we had just a generic drum beat in there. We decided, how about we go on to, I think it's called Slice, where you can download samples of sounds, and let's just get audio of footsteps in a desert. So like,
and taking it from like a drum beat to the actual sound of footsteps out in a desert paints more of a picture, makes it more picturesque of a song, which is really fun.
Love that. Adding more sort of narrative moments, it's very unique.
And yeah, look, it's been amazing to see this process, and specifically you two working together. How have you found that? Like, how has that been? From, as I know we keep going back to this kind of like 11 years ago doing the Born to Die cover, you know, on YouTube, to now. Has your process changed? Do you have like a kind of way that works usually, or has it evolved? Tell us.
I don't heaps recall our songwriting process from years back, but at some point we reached clarification that I'm definitely the melody and structure person, and Arna is in charge or in the lead of facilitating lyrics and the lyrical content. We both like contribute to both of those sections.
Nice.
But we feel more strength personally in those two separate fields.
Like we've come to the realization where our strengths are and the area that we both focus on when we go into a session.
Yeah, and because we live separately these days, after a long day in the studio, going home to our separate places, or having the weekend apart in which we weren't working on the album, by the time we came back together and we had like 45-minute drive out to Jordan's place, we would both, you know, bring our notes and our reflection over the songs and what we felt needed to be changed or worked on, or ideas that we had. So that space apart to
or taking a step back from hearing the songs. Sometimes it would all kind of blur into this fuzzy mushiness, and we couldn't hear like what was wrong, what we needed to change. Just had an instinct that something needed to be adapted. So like stepping away from the song, even if it's just for one night, and listening to it on fresh ears, like you have so much clarity.
I think they call it ear fatigue. When you've been listening to the same thing over and over again, like you just like you can't make out A from B. So sleeping on it or purposely not listening to something for a week, and then you come back to it, you get so much clarity from that.
That makes so much sense. You know what? I used to be that person when I'd do writing at work. I'd be like, whenever I got a task and I was exhausted by it, I'd be like, can I look at it tomorrow on fresh eyes? So, you're not going to get anything of value of me now. So, you hit a wall, and there's absolutely no point trying to push past that. No. You're not really rewarding anyone at that point, are you?
Yeah.
Diverging a little bit here, but I find it very interesting that you mentioned that when you two, now when you write songs, you two live separately, you have quite different lives. Would you say that your personal relationship and growth as, twin sisters has also been extrapolated and explored throughout your music as well?
Definitely. I think that the music that we're making these days is more personal and also more mature.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I really know who I am, separate from Vanessa, even though she's still a major part of my life and my identity. I have my own self-identity, and I have my own set of life experience which I can bring to our songwriting.
Yeah, to add to the question that you had earlier around how do we kind of overcome that barrier of self-belief, I think like on a personal level, when we did take the initiative to separate a little bit and find our own identities and the qualities within ourselves that we were proud of and that made us us, I think finding more confidence in ourselves on an interpersonal level just kind of evolved into our music as well. So more confidence within ourselves, more confidence within our music, if that makes sense.
Amazing. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I find it's the same with us. Like when we do projects apart, we kind of realize like you hone in on your strengths, and then when you work together, you're like, oh, I've got this. I can do this part. You know, like you do your thing. I've got this, and it's like yes.
I think with music, like for me, I needed to be confident within myself as a person as well. Absolutely. Like it didn't just come down to believing in myself within my music. Like I think it had to be a whole rounded thing.
And we're really taught in society that aging is something to fret, but I think aging is a really exciting thing. Yeah. It's something that we're lucky to experience.
I love that. You know what? It's a very common thing, isn't it? Like the birthday blues, like you've got that, and then like that existential crisis of being like, oh my god, I'm older. Like I find especially females in any industry, there's always that kind of push to be the best by, you know, under 30, under 25, and XYZ, you know. So like it's so nice that you have that view. It's very refreshing.
To also have like evidence of your growth as a person. So sometimes I look back on our first videos that we put out, and I just realized how much of a baby I was in terms of like I can see that I was so shy and uncertain about myself.
And at every single point, you are the oldest that you've ever been.
And back then, like I felt like I don't know, you just think that you are the most adult at that point.
Yes,
and then when you become more of an adult, you look back and realize you weren't at the peak yet.
I was just a baby.
100%. I remember I was 19, like turning 20, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be so old, and now I look back, I'm like,
it makes you proud of getting older because you can actually reflect on your growth. It's nice.
Absolutely.
Each year, I think you get closer to knowing yourself.
That's such a good way to look at it. I love that. Soundbite. Soundbite moment. And look, with the album, Aquarius is incredible. I feel like my favourite changes like every day, to be honest.
Every listen,
Show Her Off and Zombies are the favourites at the moment. What are your favourites? Do you have favourites? Does it change? Tell me.
I'm always interested in what other people's favourites are, as well as the reason why. For myself, I've always connected more with like kind of sadder songs, sadder music. So for myself, Drive You Away, it might seem like the underdog of the album, but for me, like I really connect with it. Always really like it.
Yeah.
I'm not
trying to copy, but my answer's the same. I
love that.
I just like stuff that kind of grips me, makes me feel something. I don't know.
Amazing.
Sadness can feel good, or like melancholy can feel really good.
In regards to melancholy feeling really good, but also really delving into some topics that aren't necessarily always explored in pop songs, My Body does that so eloquently. And we'd love to kind of get a bit more of an understanding of what that song means to you, but also how you hope it's been resonating with people that, you know, love your music and cling on to every word anyway. So
My Body is a really special song to me. I think it always will be. With ED recovery, it's definitely a lifelong thing. And when I listen to that song, when I hear the lyrics, imagine if I lied to me, imagine who I could be, I'm constantly reminded, like, stop fucking being mean to yourself. Like, what are you doing? So dumb. It ignites me with the motivation to make the right choices and to do the right thing. And I think anyone who struggles out there knows what I mean by making the right choices.
And this was like a song, I feel, that kind of wrote itself. It was during COVID lockdown, the very first one that happened. And Arna and I, at that point, had kind of, can I speak on your behalf? Had kind of relapsed into pretty severe weight loss again. And we just like had one night of like intense emotion, seeing like how many deaths were happening in the world, how these people had their health taken away from them, out of their control, out of their choice, and how so many people would do anything to be healthy, yet we were intentionally inflicting health issues onto ourselves.
Can I just butt in and say there was a moment of guilt wrapped around intentional self-harm when so many people were losing their lives over something that they had no control over. And I recalled how long it had been that I'd been not kind and intentionally hurting myself. And I thought, like, now is the moment that I need to decide to stop doing that. Like, when am I ever going to decide it? So yeah,
Well,
I agree that the song felt like it wrote itself.
I think, like, for me, the dangers of being underweight had never really hit me on like a real level in my mind. I kind of pushed it away and I didn't really take it seriously. But then when COVID was happening, realizing that I'm putting myself in danger by already making myself vulnerable health-wise, and that it was just really dangerous to continue that behavior at a time where we needed to make ourselves as healthy as we could be to fight this terrible thing that was going on. And just that internal war of knowing I need to get better, I need to do something about this, but I felt like I couldn't, I didn't know how to beat the demon inside my mind. I think both of us were experiencing that agonizing contemplation of like, do we actually do this? Do we choose recovery? That song, we went into my bedroom and it wrote itself. Probably, how long did it take?
Yeah, I think some of our best songs are the ones that write themselves very quickly. It's like you don't have to sit down and struggle for the next line. It's kind of like the light bulb moment.
Wow.
I would say probably 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
I have goosebumps, oh my god.
I remember we came out of the room and played it for our mum, and
incredible. And look, you both should be so proud of, like, for starters, the progress you've made, and the way that you're able to be so candid about your journey is so inspiring to so many people. And just your outlook on things and everything is just so important. So like, you guys are amazing, and my body has just been, incredible. And I know there's so many people that will have these thoughts and feelings and they listen to the song. And to be honest, someone was definitely cutting onions when I was listening to the acoustic version. I don't know, someone was crying. It wasn't me.
I'm actually really glad that we did the acoustic
beautiful.
version. That was a very spontaneous decision.
Actually, you know what? I think the moment that we wondered whether Jordan would be the right producer for us is at the songwriting camp. My Body hadn't been released yet. No one had really heard it. We were just sitting on it, and we played it to him. And he really, really loved it. Like, he gave the most sincere reply. Sincere.
Felt like he really had an ear for detail and ability to vocalize musicality, and I don't know, just something in that moment was like, you're a special person.
So My Body is a song that is at our core. Like, that is the core of us as humans and as musicians. And the fact that Jordan loved it so much and understood the music was a moment for us in which we were like, this guy.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good
And the way that he connected on an emotional level to the song, even though potentially the subject matter isn't one that personally he relates to, just his ability to be so emotionally vulnerable and to connect with us.
Well, that level of empathy too is so special as well. That's that connection is just brilliant. And look, we feel like it's amazing that fans can kind of have that connection with you through that song. Is there kind of a message that you want the whole album to portray, or is it kind of more up to them? Or what's your kind of message of putting out there?
It's an interesting question. I think what I want out of the listening experience for our fans, old, new, or in the future, is our apologies that it's taken so long, that we've gone through such treacherous personal battles that have made it hard for us to be more active. But I think I'm asking that you don't give up on us, that you stick with us, and remember that we love music, and we will be making a lot more of it.
Just to add to that, initially when we began the album with Jordan, we went in saying, we're sick of doing like the really serious, heavy songs. Like, we just want to do something fun, something lighthearted. So the songs that we did with Jordan, they're the more upbeat, fun, lighthearted songs. And then we added a couple songs on there that we did prior to the album with Jordan. So the first 7 songs, I think, are with Jordan. So the intention was to have a boppy, hyper pop,
make you guys
anthemic album. And then you'll see towards the end of the album, that's where the heavy, serious songs come in. So have your fun and then have a bit of a cry.
It's important. You need that whole dichotomy of emotions, I think, and you've hit the nail on the head when you said, you dance, a little cry, a little dance.
So most of the time we don't really overthink what we do, what we make. So the album, I don't think, had a lot of thought or intention in it. It was just, these are some of our favourite songs, let's whip them up, put them on an album.
Love that. Soft porn, then you're sobbing.
Very nice. Some of our favourite songs that we've written in the past decade. So we really hope that you like it.
But we had a huge amount of songs that we couldn't put on the album that we have plans for album number 2. So
we're cooking.
Yes. Well, to kind of finalise that, do you have any shows coming up, or anything you can kind of hint at what's next, or
can we hear Aquarius live anytime?
We're in discussions at the moment about doing a launch party or a launch show. We'll start here in Sydney, and if we have the means, we'd love to travel Australia and see everybody everywhere.
Oh, incredible!
But if you follow us on social media, I'm sure you'll hear all about it as plans solidify.
Exciting! Cool. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for your time. It's been so nice to have some twin time, and it's been very good. Thank you.
Thank you both too. Your questions were really great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mwah.